Hello everybody, welcome to the Wildfire live stream.
I'm Jade.
I'm Nick. We're welcoming a very special guest tonight, Jeff Wright. Before we do that, we're going to sing a little song. It's been a while. Here we go.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light that we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand or sit by me. So Nicholas, sit by me. Oh, now sit by me. We're standing, we're sitting. We're standing, we're sitting by me.
Yeah.
If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, and the mountain should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. Or sit by me in a Wildfire live stream
with
platform.
Welcome everybody. Welcome. This is the Wildfire live stream. I'm Nick.
I'm Jade.
This is your first time here.
This is your first time
This
here.
is the greatest show in the world.
One of the greatest.
Called the Wildfire live stream.
If not the.
If not these.
We are hosted on a place called Wildfire Feature, and we just wanted to say we live in Toronto, Ontario, so we're not totally at risk here. But I just wanted to shout out to everybody in Canada right now that's experiencing wildfires in their communities, just to be safe and to just thinking of you right now. It's really crazy, and just I know a lot of people are traveling right now and seeing it, and it's just it's pretty devastating. So just these forest fires are a real thing, and we've made a movie about it, and it's a narrative thing, and I just wanted to say draw attention to the fact that we're just care about what's going on right there. It's kind of fucking crazy.
Yeah.
We're excited to have people back. This is the first time we've been back in a while.
Yes. At least.
I went on a vacation across Canada. It was lovely. I surfed. I camped. I saw my mom, and it was lovely. And spent time with family, and had just the craziest road trip. So I'm gonna cut a video together of that. About that. We have the blue light right now, and I just wanted to give a shout out to my buddy Darcy Ricks Hayes, who contacted me about the potential of making a music documentary about this thing called the Mount Zion Relief Fund, Memorial Fund, that is honoring blues musicians that haven't had the proper memorials or plaques or stone in cemeteries, and just to it's like a whole contacting their families. And my dad's a blues musician, and I just, as soon as Darcy was like, let's do this, I was like, okay. And I have other people in my circles that are into this, so it's they're getting involved too. One of the stars of our film, the star of our film, Rain Dakota, was contacted today too, so things are moving in the right direction there. And just wanted to ride that same sort of music and sound wave into another Wildfire Live today.
Man, if you love live streams, well, this guy's one of the best in the biz. Tomorrow, you got a live stream of your own.
Yeah, so rolling with the blue as well, maybe a slightly lighter shade over at Buck Productions. I'm going to be going live with music video director Eric White, who also is a director of television series and a few feature films. And he's just, he's agreed to come onto the live stream, and I'm going to sort of go over, the show that he did called Yo MTV Maps, which was a show on Buck property that I've helped in promoting a lot, and kind of gotten the license to just get as creative as I've wanted to with it. So it's exciting to let that happen. So going to jump right into Jeff's bio and then going to bring him on. We're super ecstatic to welcome this week's wonderful guest, recording engineer, producer, and teacher, Mr. Jeff Wright.
Jeff holds a diploma in audio engineering and has worked in the recording industry for over 2 decades. Starting out as a drummer, Jeff made the transition to producer-engineer after recording and then touring around Canada and studying under famed producer Jack Richardson, who produced hits by The the Guess Who, Alice Cooper, and Kiss, to name a few. He began his career as an assistant, gradually working his way up to become a highly respected freelance engineer. I don't know if you knew that.
Over the past 15 years, Jeff has focused on recording voices and music for animated television shows and movies, which have gone on to receive numerous Academy, Annecy, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Gemini, CSA, and Emmy Awards. Annecy is the animated awards, for anybody that doesn't know. And if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize. But some shows of note that he's worked on have been MTV's Undergrads, Angela Anaconda, Dr. Seuss's Cat in the Hat, Alicia Silverstone's Brace Face, that was one of my favorites, yeah. Arthur,
one of the best,
Esme and Roy, Franklin, and Family Guy.
Yes. Jeff is currently head of the audio engineering department and teaches sound and recording theory
at Trebas Institute,
and has been very influential in fostering and inspiring the next wave of sound technicians.
All right, let's bring him in.
Enough jumping around.
Jibber jabber.
Please welcome Jeff Wright.
Recording engineer, producer, teacher, and new employee at Wanted. Welcome to Wanted. This is your official welcome. Oh my God. Hey Jeff, how's it going?
Hey!
What has happened to our friends?
Here we are.
There they are.
Hello, good
Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing well.
Doing well.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Here.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How's
Nice.
your day? How's your Tuesday going?
Is it Tuesday? I don't know. It's one long day, I guess. It's going fine. How's your Tuesday going?
It's going all right.
Yeah? Yeah? What are you guys doing back there? Was that a calendar?
This is our board. This is our ID board.
I don't see anything on it. You guys have no ideas.
No idea.
Wow, you have no idea.
I don't.
Currently, it's for decoration moment. We take off.
I like it. Well, as you can see, I'm big fans of yours. I don't know if you noticed this this picture right here.
That is so fantastic.
It's the one and only. Beside the undergrads picture is my boy Nick right there.
Amazing company.
That's right. That's right. So shout out to Nick. That's right.
At this point, it's important. A quick Nick shout out. Nick, this is your shout out opportunity. I'm shouting you out right now, and I want to say,
This is like a call out.
shout out to you and all the things you've been up to and all the things you continue to do for the show and our guests and everybody around you.
Wow. This is
Wow.
Jade never.
That is a moment.
So, how's your
That's
summer?
a moment. Happy summer.
Happy summer. How's your summer?
Yeah, brother.
How's summer treating you?
Good. Better than last summer,
Sure.
I guess. Yeah, I'm actually, things are starting to look up a little bit, so
Yeah.
it's actually kind of nice to get out and do stuff a little bit. But yeah, as you know, spending days in cold, dark studios. So summer, it's all, seasons don't really mean anything if you work in a studio, right? It's all temperature controlled, right? Climate controlled, and there's no windows. So
Talking about studios, I mean, I feel like I'm going to just do a crazy big segue here and just go into one of our questions before any of our questions that we planned before this question.
cool.
Jump over here to talking about studios, cool studios versus most functionally like just sound and some of your favorite places to record. Do you have maybe a top few studios in the world that you've recorded in, or do you have any sort of? I guess that, yeah. I just want to jump right into studios.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really recorded around the world per se. I'd like to say that I have, but I haven't. I've kind of stuck to Ontario. The weirdest place to record was probably we were doing a Cat in the Hat show called Cat in the Hat, and Martin Short, who played the cat, was in Muskoka, and he didn't want to come down to Toronto to record in the traffic. So he said, "Can you just record, in like at Deerhurst Resort?" So we kind of packed up all this gear, packed up these sound absorber things, and all went into a hotel room at Deerhurst and picked out a hotel room that was big enough, and we made like this makeshift kind of fort. And we pulled blankets off beds and shrouded them over. So we tucked him in this little, he was such a good sport, but we tucked him in this little foam thing, and I put blankets over it and then clamped. It looked really bad. I made a fort, He was playing in the 4 basically, and the TV station showed up and like, oh, now we're shooting behind the scenes. Martin Short making his cartoon, and they pan over. It's like my rigged up fort, you know. He's in there behind a microphone. I'm like, oh man, this looks bad. But if it sounds good, it is good, right? So it sounded good and it worked. So that was pretty funny for sure.
Well, and I guess just to go off that point, I just kind of went through a bit of the, like, looking through a bunch of like the top studios in the world, and one of them that kind of was,
Hi, Jen.
immediately was Abbey Road, being one of the ones that.
Oh man, I would love to record there.
Just because the history. So I'm just curious, have you recorded at any spots in Toronto that there's been a certain history when you've walked in and you feel that when you're recording, or like, yeah, any spots, not just in Toronto, I guess.
Well, I mean, the story of Studio 306 is one that's pretty close to my heart, because that's where I kind of started and you know, cut my teeth at recording. And I'm actually back there now, which is pretty cool, doing some records. So that one, you know, I was really green. I walked into that and it was a 2-inch tape and it was all these records on the wall, and I got to work on some really cool stuff with some really cool producers. And so that was kind of that was the moment for me when I was like, okay, this is really cool. And one being on the Macarena, right, with a guy named Terry Brown. And he was amazing. Like, he was a big fan of him as a producer. He produced Rush 2112 and Tom Sawyer, a song called Tom Sawyer, which, you know, everyone does the air drums to that. So to sit with him and kind of learn from him was really cool. And then, and yeah, just to even work with him on a song and have access to his ears was just awesome. So I really, really appreciated that for sure. He's done some amazing stuff. He did a song like Mellow Yellow. Remember that song? Yeah. Like old school. Yeah, so that guy's been doing it a long time for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet that you're back. Mm-hmm. Just, yeah, reiterating what I said earlier. Welcome to Wanted Sound and being at Studio 306, and then at 150 John, where I reside.
Yeah, you do. He's the man.
Yeah, man, it's sweet. I guess I wanted to jump into a quote that I grabbed from an interview that you did once, was about sort of the role of the audio engineer. They listen technically to music/voice recording. It's their job to pick out wrong notes in audio recording or clicks and pops to ensure everything is captured on the medium properly. So I'm just kind of curious, like, and I also looked at your website and all of the sort of list of things that are offered there, like recorded multi-track music production, voice recording, nat pause editing, voice direction, SFX for film, TV, mixing for film, mixing, mastering, voice demos, band demos, audio restoration, media transfer, mobile recording, recording for iPad, forensic audio analysis. So I was just what your day-to-day is like.
Where did you get that quote? Man, you guys digging up research.
That was on
I actually don't know where that quote is. That's not on my website?
No, that was it was like a
anyways, that's very cool. Day to day. Yeah, that's just it. Listen technically. I mean, I do lecture and I teach this stuff, and there's a difference between listening technically and just listening to music. And I call it matrix ear. Like, you're like Keanu, whoa, and you're like listening behind the music. You know, you're listening to the sound of the microphone, the sound in the room. And a lot of people don't listen for that. So if you don't know what to listen for, then you don't hear it. You know what I mean? So a lot of the time when I teach, it's kind of it's listening through a song and listening to the makeup of the song. And it's almost like hypnosis, because once I do that in a class, students are like, oh my God, like, it's, you know, I'll never listen to music the same and I hate you. You know, I always say you're either going to love me or you're going to hate me. And a lot of the time they're like, wow, this, you know, I'm listening differently now, which is really cool. But yeah, day to day, I've kind of focused on the last decade has just been recording voices for animation, for cartoons. And it's a dream job. Like, really, you're getting paid to listen to actors perform, good actors. And I always say it's never a sad day making a cartoon. It's hilarious, especially if the scripts are good, the talent's good, your producers are great, it's a good team. It's a lot of fun, man. And they pay me for it, which is awesome. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Is a hot dog a sandwich? It's a hot dog a sandwich. No, it's not a sandwich. I think a sandwich is, it's two buns. You've got to have separate buns for a sandwich. Doesn't that justify a sandwich? Is there a right answer to this?
Oh, I think that was the right answer.
It's a connected bun.
It's one connected. Yeah, I don't think it classifies as. No, it's not a sandwich.
Sorry, we didn't mean to throw such a serious question.
No, that's all good. You made me think. Why do you drive on a parkway and then park on a driveway?
Oh, fuck.
This is true.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Think about that, Jade.
what
It's shattered.
what has it been like recording all of these?
It's a sub. Yes, it is a sub. Legit. That's true. A sub. A sub is not. Oh, wait a minute though. But you would call it a submarine sandwich. So then she means that it is a sandwich,
Oh no.
right? This is throwing a wrench into the whole thing now. Submarine sandwich is a sandwich.
Oh, but a hot dog is a sub,
A hot dog, no. A hot dog isn't a sub. It can't be.
mini sub, I guess.
Well,
You could have a hot dog, hot dog sub.
yeah, you could. We'll put a pin in that.
All right. We'll revisit that.
Okay. I think where we should move from here is, well, the next logical question from there would be, what has it been like recording so many talented artists over your career and being involved in the industry, lending those experiences as a professor at Trevis?
Fantastic. There's so many talented Toronto artists too that really they don't get featured enough. I mean, I recorded a movie called The Nut Job, and it was all kind of Hollywood names, and it has to be Hollywood names a lot of the time to sell a movie. And when it had a really big budget behind it. It was feature film in theaters, but I recorded it with Toronto actors, and man, they were really, really good, and it's a shame they didn't make it onto that screen because they were amazing. But a lot of them do. There's a couple that they did stay in that movie and actually move on to get credit for that, which was awesome. But yeah, it's been great. It's really cool. Like a lot of the time, actors and singers, it's not really, they're there for a reason. You know what I mean? And they're really, really good. And there's been instances where I recorded an artist, a really well-known Canadian artist, and Juno Award winner, Songwriter of the Year, and we recorded. And as we're recording, I was sitting there like this, just going, man, like, what am I going to wear to the Junos? Like, I don't know if I have the right outfit for it. I guess maybe I'll have to do a tux, and maybe I'll do a limo when I arrive. Like, I'm already planning it out in my head, accepting the award. And we finish the record, he comes back in, and he sits down, and we're listening, and he looks at me, he's like, yeah, I hate it. This is like the worst thing I've ever done. This is terrible. I sound terrible. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is like the best thing ever. Like, you're so good. You are your own worst critic, right? And he just did not, he wasn't feeling it and didn't like it. Mm. And it just goes to show you, like, you don't really know what's in their head, and you perceive an artist a certain way. But they are perfectionists, man. Like, he was a perfectionist. Martin Short on Cat in the Hat, he does take after take after take until he feels good about it. And I feel so bad for the editors who are just like, oh, take 27. There it is. That's the one they like. And another guy I taught, actually, his name is 40. He's Drake's producer, and he's the same way. He doesn't even like the beats that he makes. He'll cringe, he'll do a beat and be like, oh, it's terrible, I can't even listen to it. And that's one of the biggest hip hop producers in the world, and he still is just such a perfectionist that he's like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like this thing, which is pretty wild. So that's a common thread with a lot of artists or a lot of actors who are seemingly, really popular, really huge. They're really critical and they're perfectionists, And so they've gotten to that level because they are like that, I think, a lot of the time.
Home studios are now all the rage. How have you seen the audio industry shift or change? I guess years, and then eventually into COVID, and I guess we're sort of at a transition period now. So where do you see it going to?
Hey, what up, Steve-O?
What's up, Steve?
So you know what? It's been really, really interesting because people have kind of had to make a little makeshift studio in their house, And I've become a little bit of an IT guy, I guess, and talking people through it because I'm like, okay, the sound is good, but you're gonna have to move your mic a little bit and make sure you're looking at the logo because that's, your mic is backwards or it's really reflective. Put more blankets up, and I find myself having to talk people through just being able to get a good sound, which in a lot of ways actors are are not engineers,
Yep.
right? So it's a lot I went to school for 2 years for this, and we're trying to teach them how to get a good sound in 20 minutes, so it's tough, and I feel for them because actors shouldn't have to worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
They should just be their voice, do their thing, and not have to worry about the technical job. That's my job, and I like to call that transparent technology.
Mhm.
You should just be in a room and feel like you're playing in your garage and not worry about all the lights, all the other stuff that's happening behind the scene. You just be you and get the right performance, and that's my job. So when the actor has to worry about, balancing stuff in the closet and the lights and everything else, it's pretty tough. But having said that, it's also pretty cool because now I can have actors that do go on vacation, that can shoot in Vancouver, and directors that are sitting on a beach, in Maui, like directing the show. So there's pros and cons for sure. But my job as a central hub, I get to like sit in one room and bring all those elements together, right, and make sure everything works nice and smooth. And I'm kind of the last ear before production to make sure that no, the closet sound is good, it's working. But you can actually get a pretty good sound nowadays from a laptop and a good microphone and a good interface, and you're done. And just to jump back to the Drake stuff, a lot of his stuff is done in a hotel room, on a tour bus. Even though Noah does have his own studio, if they get inspired, they'll jump into a hotel room and just kind of set stuff up, set their portable rig up, and record some verses, and that ends up being a massive hit, a massive global hit. So yeah, the technology's really brought it down to an area that everyone can kind of be involved for sure.
A shout out to, I guess, your work as a professor. I'm just kind of curious, like we are talking about your talking shop right now with your audio engineering hat on, but regards to when you put your professor hat on, I'm just curious as to what that experience is like for you, and to sort of go into these different modes, or is it kind of similar and it's not too at all?
I love it, man. It's kind of like performing, like when I play live, I play drums, and I like everyone looking at the band, because I'm like, hey, look at us, we're performing, we're going to entertain you, and you're going to like it, So teaching is just an extension of that, because if I'm teaching and walking around, my arms are going, I'm just like, everyone's going to listen to what I have to say, and you're going to learn this stuff,
Yeah.
And I love that. It's really rewarding too, because at the end of a lecture, you can stop and just be like, oh, hey, I get it. Like, this makes sense, and thanks for that. And the really cool thing, and I'll tell you a really quick story, you don't realize the impact you're having on people. And sometimes it's a thankless job. You go in, you do your thing, and some people are like, oh, test, or oh, I got to do this work. But every once in a while, something really cool happens, and that's what continues to push me. And just really quick, I'll tell you one story where we did an ad in the Toronto Star, and it was myself for the school, like leaning up against a console saying, hey, come to the school and, do something you love. You'll never work a day in your life, and all the, my kind of textbook like responses for the industry. And I basically put it out there, and I didn't really think anything of it, and I got a handwritten letter in pencil from a guy in Kingston, Penn. And so I read it, and it was like, hey, I saw your story. It affected me. I really loved it. I'd love to take your program. I'd love to study under you. As soon as I get out, he's doing time. And I'm like, so I wrote back. I was kind of, I said to some other coworkers, I was like, wow, this dude's in jail and he wants to come to school. Awesome. In 3 to 5, he's going to come to school. Good for you, buddy. A lot of people are a lot of talk too, like I'm the next producer, I'm the next 40, I'm going to be, the next big deal. And so he wrote this letter, and it was like, yeah, I want to make waves in the industry. I want to change the world. I'm like, okay, well, hey, good for you. I will always represent that for sure. I'm always a fan. So I wrote back, and I said, good for you. Hopefully we'll see you in a couple of years. Do your thing, and we'll figure it out. Wouldn't you know it, 2 years later, this dude shows up in my class. After I finish my first class, I do my big spiel, inspirational stuff, and he comes up and he said, well, we've already met. And he said, my name's Jeremy. And I went, holy shit, it's Jeremy from Kingston, Penn. So he did his time. He's like, yeah, you know what? I fell into a bad crowd and made some bad choices, and I had to pay for that. But didn't that guy do amazingly well? He beat all the other students, even all the university grads that dropped out of university and came to our school. We get that a lot. And he had like a 97% average. His beats were amazing. He finished. He ended up getting this grant, and my boss was like, "Well, we can't promote him. We can't. He's an ex-con. We can't fly the flag with him because he's done hard time." And I was like, "This even more reason. Like this guy changed his life. He got out, changed his life, went to school." And I said, "You need to submit him for this scholarship." And he got it, and he won it. And I think only one person out of Ontario, one person out of each province got this award, and he went and got this award. And I'll tell you, he got to accept it at Much Music, and they did like a whole big thing, and it was televised, and they brought each person up, and they all did this speech, and he got to go up there, and I was sitting in the audience, and he said, people don't realize that some people go through a lot of adversity to get to where they are, and some people, you just need someone to believe in them. And he looked right at me. He's like, you sometimes just need people to believe in you. And I'm like, yeah, it's honestly, I felt like such an idiot, but it was so cool because that little ad and that little letter to me was like, hey, all right, buddy, you can do it. We'll see you. But for that guy, he just needed that one little push. And I think that's what teachers are supposed to do, is just encourage and just be like, no, you can go that way. You can do it. And it doesn't take much to just do that and push someone in that direction. And that little nudge from him, or for him, was amazing. And it set his life on a different trajectory. And I think that's the reason I do this stuff, because you can nudge people in the right way, and it just pushes them and sets them off to sail, which is pretty awesome.
So Jack Richardson, right, was one of your mentors.
Yeah.
Who else sort of got you to where, or were there when you needed it, I guess?
I gotta shout out to my brother. I gotta say my brother was a big influence because I always looked up to him as like an amazing singer-songwriter. And then he went to college in Fanshawe, and I went out to see him for a weekend in London. And I just was like, this is the coolest thing ever. You get to go in a studio, you get to hang with, your friends and make music. So I followed in his footsteps, and he took production, I took engineering. And I used to play in a band with him, and we play like little gigs at little pubs, and I didn't even know the songs. And he was just like, hey, I learned a new song, just play a 4/4 beat, and we just play it start. And that really helped me overcome fear of playing live, because I didn't even know what song we were doing. It was like, just go, we'll figure it out, So yeah, at a bar called O'Toole's back in the day in Oshawa, Ontario. So that's that inspired me to follow that musical stuff. And then I got in my own band and started doing that, and went in the studio and just realized that I helped a producer produce our record, and I was like, hey, we should like put saxophones here, and then we should put like a horn section here, and then what about a tambourine here? And the producer was like, yes, I'm feeling it, yes. And then afterwards we paid him to produce the record, and I'm like, what the hell? I think I just produced that record. Like, what did I just pay this guy for? And that was a light bulb moment for me. Crystal Myth. That's right, Jen. Thanks for that shout out. Crystal Myth. That's true. I wasn't going to tell you the name of my band, but there you go. I just got outed.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was a moment for me, and that was, each time we went in to record, I learned something new, and then, and that was it. I just really started pursuing that. I went to school for 2 years for that and just learned from all my teachers. Jack Richardson being like amazing, hearing his stories. I still remember his quotes, and other students friends that I made at that school, I still talk to today, and they're successful in their own right. And that was just a great experience. I have nothing bad to say about musical education in any school, because not only do you get the skills, but you also establish relationships, which will help you later on too. So I'm really thankful for that.
Speaking of crystal myth, or at least myths, and the power of myths, myths mean in our modern society, as well as debunking myths. Are there any myths that you can debunk about being a producer?
Yeah. I guess when you see a lot of videos and you see, especially hip hop videos, you see like the entourage and it's like a big party. It's a big it's a big party. And that's just not the case. And it's funny because I was having a chat with 40 and talking about Drake stuff, and 40's like, Drake is like the hardest working artist I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
Comes in, goes in the studio and just works, just goes solid, 6 hours at a time, just doing his thing. If more than 3 people come into the studio, he's like, I know we're not going to get anything done. So it's not, you'll see an entourage in a big party and around the mic and the console and everything. Not the case. It's work. That dude just works solidly. I think they won like 3 Grammys or something. And I said, hey, so are you guys going back to Miami for a big celebration? He's like, nope. Jay-Z's dropping a record, so we're back in the studio tomorrow. Just working. He's like, all this could be gone tomorrow. So he's like, no, we're going to work when there's when there's work, and that speaks volumes to his work ethic. And another funny thing about 40 is, and this is actually a really good lesson too, is I had talked to him right after he had got distribution for OVO, which is his label that he started with Drake, and he was talking about it, and I'm like, dude, congrats on OVO, because it was millions of dollars that he was able to get from this acquisition. And he's like, yeah, thanks, man, thanks. I'm like, yeah, like a couple million. He's like, yeah, awesome. But you know what pisses me off? I'm like, what? He's like, on your exam, you told the class that someone would forget to arm that multi-track machine, and it was me. I forgot to arm that, and you docked me marks for that. Like, I'm like, dude, a couple million, I will give you those marks right back. Like, that's all good. We're fine. You can have it back. You get 100%. But here's a guy that's like one of the biggest producers in the world. Drake's guy, and multimillionaire, and he still like has that kind of mindset of just like, damn it, I should have known that. So that's pretty wild. I think that speaks volumes to his work ethic for sure,
And his character for sure.
and his character. Like, he's just a hard worker, and again, that's why he is where he is, because he works really hard.
Very cool.
Hey, Kat.
Do we want to move on to the next segment or ask a few more questions?
Well, we could move on to the segment.
Okay.
Ask a couple. But
Let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to flip the screen here, and you're not going to see us anymore, but you're going to see a previous iteration of yourself, somebody else. And I just want,
Okay.
well, we can go through these relatively quickly, but I just want to maybe tell us maybe a notable thing from that day that happened.
Oh, what are you doing to me, Jade?
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any, there's no plan here. This is just impromptu. Here we go.
All right. Oh, yes, the goatee and mustache. That's not embarrassing at all. Yeah, 1993 called. Okay, so first one, Incredible, Samuel Jackson. Awesome dude. Fifi Dobson, singer / actor.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, man. That dude, there you go. That's Harry Shearer. Not only the bassist of Spinal Tap, but voices on The Simpsons. That's the only time that I was like I had like stage fright talking to that guy, because what do you say to him? Yeah, I felt like an idiot. That is that Marley? Oh, that's Marley Mall. Yeah, hip hop legend. That dude is just cool. Man, my hair. What's going on with my hair? DJ Rockwilder did a lot of hits. Missy Elliott stuff. Another cool guy. Tara Oram, she was on Open Road. Really, really nice girl. Ended up doing, I don't think she's in the business anymore. Great voice, though.
Next one's my favorite.
She was on Taylor Swift. Oh, my God. That is, you know who that is, right? Philly Cream Cheese Angel.
She's the best.
Iconic.
She is the sweetest, really good actress. She was, fun fact, she was on Seinfeld. Yeah, she's worked with like Robin Williams and Jerry Seinfeld and a bunch of really cool actors. She's the sweetest woman ever, by the way.
No relation to Johnny Cash.
No.
That we know of.
That we know of. Oh, man, you're killing me. Look at the blonde. Oh man, look at those blonde spikes. That is Roe Dollar and Shaw Claire from
That
back in the day.
that's the
And he's
hard.
holding,
That's hard.
that is
That's
hard.
hard.
Look at how hard I am. Wow. And he's holding, you can't see it, it's cut off, but he's holding a bottle of rum there in the studio, trying to look cool.
Are there any?
Man.
I mean, I've been working in this facility now for about a year and a half, and you see some interesting things. And I'm just curious, what's been some of the, without maybe naming names, one of the sort of craziest environment you've been a part of, or at least in regards to, oh, this is that type of studio, this is what we are cool with.
I guess I can tell this story. Is this rebroadcasting anywhere? Am I going to get in trouble for this?
Just on City TV, DHC,
Oh, great. Awesome.
Oshawa.
I learned pretty quick that I can't engineer if I smoke a joint.
Yeah.
Because I did partake, and as I was like, yeah, you know, it was being passed around, so I'm like, yeah, I got this, and I was done for 4 hours. I couldn't I couldn't hear things properly, and the LEDs were like, you know, meters were moving weird, and I was laid out.
Yeah.
That was that was a bad scene, man. But you know what? One time you realize that you're not cut out for that, so never again.
You learn.
Do I mix those two? Yeah.
Don't go through.
We kind of rushed by the Samuel. I was just curious, like how that opportunity Incredibles presented itself and how you got involved.
You know what? That's actually a really good lesson. And when I teach, I usually talk about that because I did a session for a casting agent, and I did the session. I was really, really efficient at it. And this is back in the day when we were burning on CDs. So I figured out a way to burn a CD really fast. So we finished the session, and she's like, okay, I'll be back in a half hour to pick up my CD. And I said, actually, it's done. It's right here. And she's like, oh, usually studios are, you know, it takes a while to burn. I'm like, yeah, but I burnt it while we were talking and doing our thing. And I said, wow, that's great. So I lost a little bit of money because I got her out fast, right? And students are always like, oh, why wouldn't you just go slow and make more money because you charge by the hour? And I'm like, well, no, this is a full service business and you keep your client happy. So so I lost like a half hour of studio time and half hour wage, but she was happy. She left. And like a year and a half later, I got a call from like Pixar in Hollywood saying, hey, we have an actor in town. We need this Jeff guy to record. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Who is this? You know? So I said, sure, yeah, I'm available. And I said, okay, you know, we're sending a car and there'll be an actor and blah, blah, blah. So after I hung up, I had realized, and I researched it a little bit, that casting agent that I recorded for, she got a job in LA. And she was working in LA, and they said, hey, who do we record who can we record with in Toronto? And she's like, I got a guy. I got a guy that's really good. So that, you know, half hour that I lost actually gained me that session because then sure enough, I was all set up, and then Sam Jackson walks in with like 4 of his people. And I was like, oh, I guess we're doing this. And it was for The Incredibles. And then after that happened, they were really happy with it. And I got the gig for Family Guy because it's all, you know, it's a small circle that the producers know the producers. So they said, oh, we have a guy, you want to record in Toronto? We have a guy in Toronto, his name is Jeff. So then I ended up recording with Seth MacFarlane and did an episode of Family Guy, which was really, really funny.
That's awesome.
That dude is a funny guy. He was laughing as he was recording. And he's one of the actors that switches voices on the fly. So he was going from, you know, theater, and he's going to like all the different characters as he was like Brian and stuff.
Right,
and his natural voice is Brian.
Yeah.
So he picked up the phone. He's like, "Hello, is Jeff there?" And I'm like, talking to Brian on the phone. Yeah. So that was really cool.
I just find the story. It's like incredible. Like you did all of Samuel Jackson for that?
Yeah. Which took like, you know, 30 minutes. I told my son that. I'm like, because he was talking one day. I'm like, oh yeah, I recorded like Samuel L. Jackson saying, honey, where's my super suit?
That's one of the.
And he's like, Dad, that's like a massive meme. I'm like, well, you're welcome, kid.
Welcome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that about wraps it up as far as that game goes. I have just one more question. I don't know if you've got any, Nick, but mine was just kind of, I guess, in line with how you negotiate your time as being somebody who has this multi-hyphenate thing. We live in these different worlds. How do you balance work life and getting support, supporting others in this somewhat chaotic media landscape we entertainment we find ourselves in?
It's tough, man. I mean, when I first started out, it was long hours. It was really long hours, and you don't know, and especially with two jobs, because technically I have two jobs. Yeah, it's pretty tough. You gotta try and make time. I'm probably even not that good at it. Yeah, that's, man. I don't want to say lifestyle choice, but it's a choice. Like,
Yeah.
for sure, relationships can suffer from it. And it's, if you don't budget that stuff right, then it's pretty tough, for sure. And it's sometimes you have to make decisions and choices on just like when to be like, okay, enough already. I need a little bit of a life here.
Yeah.
And that's when you decide to be like, all right, maybe I should slow down on this. I think COVID has really done that to a lot of people too. A lot of people have kind of realized like, oh, maybe work isn't, everything. I don't have to be at work for 20 hours a day. So
right.
I think that's affected a lot of people. What about you guys? Did that affect you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I just went on a vacation, so I feel like now that I'm back, I'm kind of easing myself into it and not overloading myself so far. But I don't know. I guess I agree with you. Like the long hours are definitely part of it at this point. I feel like, and I'm bringing work home a lot, and I do enjoy it. Like I gain sort of satisfaction out of the work I do. So I guess I'm addicted, and I'm a workaholic, and I have to go to Workaholics Anonymous. I have to go to meetings. There's a whole.
You and me both, brother.
I'm journaling. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, that can be a problem. I'm always working. That's just it, but that's the thing. You love what you do, right? And my hobby is also my passion, right? So I love playing instruments. I love music. So I'll work at music for the day and then come home and then do music again. So it's like, it's one of those things. What about you, Nick? Same thing?
Yeah, it's just really about taking everything a day at a time. Dedicating time. That will benefit the person. So,
Right.
I don't know much. I'm a
What turns you on creatively?
I guess just I don't know. I've never been. That's the question we always ask people,
Put him on the spot.
and
I like it. Take that.
He's been telling me to erase it from our question list, so I thought I'd turn it on him right now.
Oh, well done. Well done. Well played, Jade.
Oh, okay, he's got one more question for you.
I guess as far as a musician yourself, and I guess just
Let me phrase this question. The role music plays in your life, both personally and professionally. What was it like?
yeah, meeting Dave Grohl and all that.
Oh, man, you know what? I regret not asking that dude to dinner because he's just really cool and personable and awesome.
Yeah.
And I just love his attitude about music. He's just like go, just pick up a guitar, just get on the drums and just do it, just play. And I met him kind of briefly, and he was walking in the hotel lobby for Canadian Music Week, and I said, "Hey, Dave," and he stopped and turned around and looked at me. He's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Oh shit." So I went up and talked to him and was like, "Hey man, like I'm a big fan," and typical kind of fan stuff. But I said, "Hey, I know you're in town for the book signing," so we chatted about his mom's book. His mom put out a book called "From the Cradle to the Stage." It's all different rock moms and the influence they had on artists, which is really cool.
That is cool.
In fact, I think there might be a movie coming out soon about that. But yeah, chatted about that briefly, and then I was with some friends from Los Angeles, and I was like, man, I should have asked him because he just got off an airplane. I'm like, I should have just said, hey, do you want to join us for dinner? Because you can come hang out. And I honestly think he would have been like, yeah, just let me put my stuff away, because he was there by himself. You know, he had his like luggage with him and stuff. I'm like, yeah, come down. Cool.
Went to Robert Johnson's grave and like basically was like, okay, all of my songs don't belong to me; they spiritually belong to Robert Johnson. The way that he inspired me. So my buddy is
Wow.
in touch with this UT music history professor, his name is Dr. Dwayne. Is sort of leading the Mount Zion Memorial Fund, which is all about taking these forgotten, that were usually poor blues musicians from the 20s and 30s that never were given plaque memorials, and doing and going and visiting the families and finding out what's appropriate and raising funds for them. Like, it's interesting, the music industry. I'm like, my dad's a blues musician. He's just like, you just kind of synchronistically get involved with things. And do you like the blues?
Wow.
Round
What a question. My answer? Yes. Honestly, I think as an engineer and producer, you kind of have to like everything, you know. I love all genres for sure. I love guilty pleasure. I love a good pop song, you know, and I've produced country records before. I've done pop records, and that's kind of my guilty pleasure. You know, if my earphones came out of the gym, I'd be embarrassed, you know, because I'm cranking a nice T Swift song or like One Direction. It's like, I think it's brilliant to have just the way pop songs are designed and they get in your head. And I love that stuff, you know. So I'm actually working with an artist right now. I don't know if she's on here. Hopefully, Lila Lu. She's from Brazil, and she's gonna kill me because I've been mixing her single for like 6 months. But she's really, really talented. I think she's awesome. And so that's one thing. I don't even know what genre that is. It's kind of like popish. I guess it's pop. But I've been mixing it forever because I want to get it just right.
Yep.
And again, that's the ongoing. We talked earlier about perfectionism. It has to be right before I release it, right? So,
Yep.
yeah. So I think you have to be well versed in all areas of music, and you have to appreciate all music. You know, my mom loved classical. I like classical. I like country. I like a little bit of everything for sure. But I gotta say, like rock, like full on rock, is just something about just putting a song on, turning it up on the road, you know, just driving, just be like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, right.
You know, rock and pop is kind of where I sit.
I love it.
Awesome.
Well,
We do have one more question before we go, and that is, once and for all, is a hot dog a sandwich? Gotta say no.
You know, I've been thinking about this, and I've got to say no. Like, I know the whole sub sandwich thing. Hot dog is not a sandwich. So what is it? What's the classification there?
Whole separate thing. Because
but sausage on a bun.
you have a burger that's not
meat on,
Should,
it's meat on a bun. It's meat on a bun.
right.
A bun is not a sandwich, apparently.
so
I think it is.
right. So Jen thinks that it's a sub, but
It's
the problem is, like Subway is like, oh, it's a submarine sandwich. So they call subs sandwiches. So therefore, by default, if it's a sub, then it is a sandwich. So I think Jen here is saying that it is actually a sandwich.
I think we need to maybe create a Venn diagram or put this board to use.
Yeah, you should open it up. Like, yeah, I think that's a big question. That's a
ongoing.
pretty serious question.
Well,
I'll have to take it to the street and ask.
wanted to say
You know what? Yeah, out there reporting on the streets. Take a mic, get out there, and just be like,
I need to know.
now we can
is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yeah, we can go out.
I want to know now. Now it's going to keep me up at night, you jerks. I'm going to be thinking like, what the hell? Is it?
We'll,
I don't know. It might be.
we'll discuss tomorrow.
We'll discuss. Yeah. A submarine sandwich. Yeah, exactly. A submarine sandwich. So, therefore, by default, it must be a sandwich, but
I'm not ready. I'll play.
I don't know. There's got to be some answer.
Hot dog.
Hot dog.
No.
Hot dog is a big no.
Well,
Is it a sandwich though, Steve? Is a hot dog a sandwich? That's the whole question.
difficult matters that will not be solved.
How did you guys think of this stuff? Honestly, you're just like, oh, I know what we have to ask him.
We're investigative journalists.
I appreciate that.
The question
Fair enough.
throw you for a loop. Well,
Well done. Well done.
thank you for taking time.
Thank you,
to talk to
Jeff.
us.
Thanks, guys.
Until
It was. Steve said, of course not. Fair enough.
There we go.
It was super fun. Thanks. I'm glad we could call Subway. You know what? Let's do another like Instagram live with Subway and be like, here's the deal. For sure. Yeah, I'm glad we could totally do it. And and thank you. It was my pleasure. Awesome. Good to see you guys.
thank you to you, Jeff, and cheers. Have a wonderful night, my man.
You too, brother.
You're around.
All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Night.
Have a great night, everyone.